Okay, hey guys, welcome to the live stream. What we're going to be talking to you guys about today is the. So we're going to be talking about today is. Hello, 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 hello. Yeah, awesome. Just learning how to use my microphone better, so I'm optimizing it. So today is going to be talking about philosophy and finance, and I think it's very interesting how a different philosophy can create a different financial situation, and it's really just about the way you see things. And to be honest, I think a lot of people have really not been able to learn real philosophy because people who actually have successful businesses and things like that, they actually want to keep these things to themselves. you know all of these things, like the rich people don't want, like, to be honest, I think there is a little bit of that because you know like I was talking to a person the other day in a park, and we're talking about stock markets and things like that. And I was like, do you tell people? And they actually said they don't tell people, just because most people are just like, you're wrong and things like that, and try to criticize what they tell them, which is super interesting because the people who actually need the help all of a sudden criticizing the person who's giving them the help, and that creates like a negative feedback loop, which obviously makes that most people don't want to tell them. So that's the main reason. It's probably not your fault, but it's probably in general the category of telling people who aren't successful usually will end up like that. So even myself, like, I've given advice, I've seen that there's a lot of people that will take my advice and just not use it or just criticize it plainly. And this is stuff that other people have taken and has become very successful for them. Like, even I've seen some moderately successful people, and you can see that they're not going to be really successful for long because they're not really taking that advice. They feel like they've come over to the next level where now they don't need advice, and all of a sudden they fail because things are always changing. You always need to be continuously learning to move along with it. um, so one of the philosophies then would be, taking advice. So just do an A, and we'll circle that. So that's advice. Yeah. Cool. Now, the next thing for most people is that once you've gotten the advice, you know, or once you realize, if you do get good advice, take it seriously and make sure you work on it instead of being like, this is another book, which I see most people do. I feel like the people who kind of understand that, they become successful very quickly. But the people who kind of give it, this is just a book, I'm not sure if it's going to be good. Because once you open your eyes to what's available, to what's really out there, you'll be able to see there's a lot more information in things like books and things like that, where you can actually even learn in any course, anything like that. These are more of the fundamentals, and this comes into what's next, which is making sure that you start creating habits for yourself, so that it's not like a advice anymore. Now it's become a habit. So it's important that in your life you see the difference between having a an idea to do something, to this is more of a habit, and it becomes consistent. For example, a lot of people struggle going to gym, and there's a lot of people that actually have workout routines, and all they do is pretty much a small workout, but they do it consistently so they become fit. While another person can have an amazing workout and still, not really work for them. Oh, this is the wrong one. So the second piece would be habits. Sweet. Okay. So now, for those people that now have learned to take the right advice and create a habit, now what's next? Right? So you've taken up to yourself to start learning, getting the advice, and then you start putting in the habits. Well, there's one more thing, because if you just take advice and habits, then what about when you start, competing with the people who are also taking advice and having habits? Because after a while, you'll see that, a lot of these habits become for everyone else. So the next part is you have to learn how to attract. And there's no other word for this. Attraction is something which you either learn to do, or you read a book about and then you start, or someone tells you about and then you start. But you have to be an attractor. That means that the world isn't just making you go to a point. It's where you start attracting situations to you, so you don't have to go anywhere or do anything, but that it comes to you. So the next one is attractor. Now, this is the first aha moment. So, if you're taking advice, creating habits, and you're becoming a tractor, stands for aha, right? Because that's all you really have to remember. You want to, like, when when I go to a class and like, what are you really looking for? I'm like, I'm looking for aha moment, like a golden nugget. I can compare those two, because when you think of a aha moment, it's a golden nugget. And what is really that? It's taking advice, building the habits, and becoming an attractor. So when you have these things, all your communication, all your styles, all your everything is going to become a higher level, because you're doing things in the right way. Um, and this is going to really change how you see the world, and pretty much how the world sees you, um, which is basically what happens, because the way that the world sees you, the way that you react to the world, the way you interact with the world, is the way that you live in the world. So this is pretty much amazing advice for someone who's willing to take the advice, and once they take the advice, willing to create the habits, and pretty much that person starts attracting. um and if you do this, then you'll be wildly successful, in most of the things you do, just because you've built this philosophy of financial, and just philosophy wise. So that's the end for today. And if you liked it, subscribe. um, you can comment and like the video. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.